Nevada's cultural heritage is known worldwide, and it's as varied as our bright neon cities and rugged wilderness landscapes. Every week, the Nevada Department of Cultural Affairs brings a piece of that heritage to your living rooms through our documentary series, Exploring Nevada. We reach a wide audience through 14 stations in Nevada and parts of California. I'm producer and host Gwen Clancy. Welcome to the colorful world of cultural affairs. Today we head to Carson City to the Nevada State Museum. The museum has its home in the former U.S. Mint, and the treasures to be found there are worthy of closer inspection. On this particular weekend, the museum is hosting its annual coin show, which draws coin dealers, coin experts, and eager enthusiasts of all ages and levels of expertise.
We'd like to welcome you all here to the 2005 Carson City Mint Annual Coin Show. We have nearly 40 dealers here today.
Well, I see that you carry your dog around in your purse. Do you also have coins in there?
Lots of them. They're before.
And I want to know what brings you out. What brings you and your dog out to the coin show today?
Oh, this is just a wonderful coin show. Everyone is so friendly. And we're actually here selling coins today. My husband is at another table, and just beautiful.
Numismatics, the official term for the study of coins, draws die-hard fans eager to add to their collections. For them, there's the thrill of the hunt. Others are just catching the bug. Well, I'm wondering what brings you out to the coin show today?
My son, he's been bugging me for weeks to come here. He's really looking forward to it.
Really? Well, what is it that you are looking for?
I'm just looking for old coins. I really like collecting them. I already have this buffalo. They gave it to me for free in there.
They gave it to you for free? Let's see that again.
And
an Indian head nickel?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do? Fill that whole thing up?
Yeah, on the end you have to put your birth dates, coins, and I just like collecting coins because they're a really cool hobby, and they're just really fun to look at and collect. It's kind of cool.
You like looking at them? Do you like holding them too?
Uh-huh. They're kind of cool to take a piece of the past.
Piece of the past. Is it when you look at a particular coin, like a, let's say 1890, do you feel like you're going back to 1890?
It's just kind of gives you an idea of what kind of money they had back then. It's kind of cool.
But regardless of our knowledge level, we share one common denominator. It's the hope that the coin we're carrying just might be worth more, and maybe much more, than its face value. The dealers are offering free evaluations, so why not jump right in? Hi, my name's Gwen.
Hi, glad to know you. It's a pleasure.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good.
Well, so now what I can do is show you a coin. I've got this nickel that I've been kind of curious about, and I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that.
Well, this happens to be a Jefferson nickel, and it's a circulated piece, and basically it's worth about 25 cents.
Oh, it's worth about 25 cents.
Right.
Well, okay, so I guess I could hold on to it, but it's not going to make me rich.
No, absolutely.
And why do you think people like coins? I mean, look at all these people looking at these things. What is it?
There's a lot of history. Some of them are very beautiful. The coins, many years ago have a lot more detail, a lot of art involved compared to what we're seeing now.
Well, what brings you here to Carson City?
Well, it's the history of the Carson City Mint, and I've been involved with Carson City coinage for 20 years. I've lived here for 20 years, and I've duplicated the Carson City gold collection that you see behind us here on the wall, and I've built many sets of Carson City gold coins for customers.
All right, so you really like the Carson City Mint.
I love it.
Morning.
Hi.
My father collected coins, and I know nothing about them. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Well, first off, we're going to flip it over and see what the mint mark is on it, and I don't know whether or not you noticed it or not, but it's got two little C's on the back.
Oh,
two tiny little C's down on the bottom of the reverse of this coin. It means that this coin was minted right here in Carson City in this same building that we're in right now. It's one of the most famous mints in the whole world. People from around the world treasure coins from the Carson City Mint. This particular one is from 1890, and in that year they made approximately 2.3 million of these silver dollars. Now, the majority of those have been destroyed, melted down through the years, and coins like this that have survived were here in Nevada, used in the gaming industry. They would actually play these coins on the blackjack tables and the crap tables, and they'd come out of the slot machines. This coin here is a circulated piece, what we call, and it is what we would rate it as a probably very good quality. And as a very good quality, you can see in this book here, this is the red book of coins, and you can see up here is the very good quality. This coin has a book value of approximately $100 in this condition. Wow. So $1 is worth approximately $100 today in this condition. Now, if you had one of these coins in what they call uncirculated condition, which I just happen to have bought one, all right, you can see the difference here between the two. You can see the difference in quality. This coin here is what we call used condition. It's been around the block, carried in people's pockets, spent in change, and possibly even played in the casinos here on the blackjack tables and in the slot machines. This coin here, by contrast, is in what we call mint condition. It is pristine. You turn this over and you can just see how the detail on this one is really worn away, where the detail on this one is just the way that it was when it left this mint over 120 years ago. The contrast in value, this one's $100, this one is $2,500.
Wow.
And the reason this one here, you can see this special holder that this is in, this beautiful velvet covered cardboard holder that keeps this coin in place, says that it's from the Redfield collection. It's one of the most famous collections in the United States. It was actually a hoard. It was acquired by a man in Reno whose name was LeVere Redfield, and he amassed approximately 450,000 silver dollars in his basement that were found after he died, and a coin company purchased them from the Redfield estate, and then they marketed them in these holders.
Yeah.
And
so does that give that coin more value?
Yes,
history?
Absolutely. Yeah, the pedigree of it, since it was in the Redfield hoard, adds some distinction to the coin and adds to the value of the coin. Yeah.
I managed to catch up with Jim Barmore, who is the administrator here, who directs the Nevada State Museum. And Jim, you've been involved with different museums. I'm curious as to why you do a coin show here. What is the benefit of doing a coin show by a museum? Because I know lots and lots of different things museums do.
Well, of course, as a museum, our essence is education. And so this is, we have wonderful deals. Dealers come in and are selling the coins, but people come in as visitors and can learn from the coins themselves. So the dealers are really good explaining, answering questions about the history of the coinage. And so that's education. And of course, it's neat here because it ties it right into the historic Carson City Mint, which is so much of our identity here at the Nevada State Museum.
The former U.S. Mint occupied the handsome stone building that fronts on Carson Street. To find out more about it, we tracked down Bob Nyland, longtime curator of history at the Nevada State Museum.
Well, actually, the Mint was really the beginning of the Nevada State Museum back in 1939. Our founder, Judge Guild, was walking by the Mint on his way to the post office and saw the for sale sign. There was actually a for sale sign on the front of the building. And so he had this dream or belief that the state needed a state museum. And instead of letting this building, like some unfortunately wanted to just tear it down and make it a parking lot, he saw a greater vision. And indeed, we were able to purchase the building from the federal government for $5,000. And then finally, after some remodeling in 1941, That's when we opened on Nevada Day in 1941. So the Mint has a special connection with the State Museum.
Well, I know that's why a lot of people are here today, because they love being in an old mint. But the mint itself manufactured, that's not really the right word, they minted these coins that are behind us.
Well, actually it was, you're correct in some ways, because they had a refinery, they were able to take the bullion and then smelt it down and make it into the gold and silver blanks, and then they were minted here.
The vintage coin presses have solidly stood the test of time. Once a month and on special occasions such as the coin show, Ken and Karen Hoppel turn out coins in a time-honored process.
Okay, I want to welcome you all to the Nevada State Museum, and you are standing in front of one of the original presses here to the museum. This press was built about 1868 and it arrived here in 1869. We started minting in 1870 and the mint closed in 1893. At that point the machinery stayed in the building until 1899. At that point the government dispersed the machinery to where it was needed. This press going back to Philadelphia, where it was made by Morgan & Orr, and it was used in the Philadelphia Mint from 1899 until 1945. Well, in 1945, they got some new equipment, so they sent it to San Francisco. San Francisco used it from 1945 until 1955 when they closed. Now, it was lucky for us that we had a historian there. He called us up and said, "We got your press. Well, you want to buy it? We're going to scrap it out." And we said, "Well, how do you know you got our press?" Well, in 1878, this frame cracked. This is 6,000 pounds. So we sent it to the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, and they recast a new frame. But they liked their work so much, they took Morgan & Orr off of here, and they put in Virginia and Truckee Railroad works. So now we know it's our press. He said, "Well, what do you want for it?" They said, "Well, scrap price was $225. It took from 1955 until 1958 to raise the money and to get the press here. It sat again until 1960. Sat again on display only until 1964. We had a coin shortage. That's when we switched over from silver money to layered money. We shipped the press to Denver. They borrowed it for 3 years, made 188 million coins on it. They sent it back to us. It sat again on display until 1976. That's when we restored it, and we did medallions for the bicentennial. It was the first time that we had ever struck a coin that we could sell to the public, and also the first time that press could be watched run. This press is 135 years young. It ran on steam until 1930, and at that point it was powered up with an electric motor. It did 100 coins a minute, and it was all auto-fed, and I think we probably should put a blank in there, or this is a planchet actually. Well, let's go into that a little bit, the way planchets are made. First the bullion comes in and it's rolled into sheets like this. It's punched out on a punch press, which then it becomes a slug. Then it comes into another press, it's called an upsetter. The upsetter reduces the size of the coin and puts more metal on the side. It actually rolls the metal up. You can see how it's rolled up the edges? And what that does is it puts more metal on the edge of the coin, because when it's pressed, that's where the rim of your coin is. So the metal's there for the rim. That's the highest point of your coin. That helps protect the design on the face and the back of the coin. So this is now, all that's been done to it is now a planchet. So we're going to put that in there. Now the silver, I use 120 tons of pressure to press that. In the old days when they were doing silver dollars, it took 175 tons to do a silver dollar. And there it is right there. Now these are special ones for the legislature. And there are 3 dies in there, so it does the front of the coin, the back of the coin, and the side of the coin. So you got the obverse, the reverse, and the side with the wrinkles. That's called reading. Now reading was put on there for a reason. That was because in the old days, they used to shave the side of a coin. So now you got all the shavings in a can. Well, they go out and they spend that coin. So you got a $10 gold piece, now worth $9.80. Okay? Well, the merchants come to finding out what was going on, and they said, well, we got to fix this. So they went to the head of the mint, was called the master of mint, and that was Sir Isaac Newton in England. And he invented the reading. Because when a merchant took their money into the bank, they put the gold in one sack, they put the silver in another sack, and the bank weighed it. They didn't count anything. They wanted to know how much gold or silver was there. So Sir Isaac Newton came up with the idea of putting the wrinkles on the outside of the coin to tell whether it had been tampered with.
Okay, this is the coin that was just struck off of the machine. And I'm doing a job that was done by the women even back in 1870, where they would check the quality of the coin coming off the machine. If the quality was good, it would go into circulation. If the quality was not good, it went back for refining and was done over. Now my job today is I take them and I package them into our cards like this. Now the women's job back in the 1870s was actually adjusting the weight of the planchets. And I'm sitting at an adjusting table. And you can see that there are cutouts here. And also these tiny little nail holes right here go all the way around. Well, that was so the women would sit here and there was leather attached here. The leather went into their laps and they wore aprons. So when they were adjusting the weight of the planchet to be 1 ounce, when they file it, the filings were caught into the leather, and then when they got up, they were put into a bucket or something to catch them, and then they were refined again. So all the metal was continually being used again to make new coins. The women were in charge of quality control, and this mint was known for its proof-light coins coming out of the mint, and that was because the women were doing the quality control work. And Bob just told me, reminded me that the women were also the seamstresses here. And the men weren't allowed to wear any clothing with pockets for obvious reasons, taking coins out the door. So the women were actually the seamstresses that made the clothing the men wore here at the mint. So they served dual purposes here. They were a very important part of the mint.
The coin press that we saw, the coin press number 1, when everything was minted, they did over $50 million worth of both silver and gold coins. And so it was really a production or a manufacturing factory in a sense, but the final result was these wonderful and unique gold and silver coins.
These coins that are behind us, this is as I understand it, there's 1 coin from every year, or each year that you were minting. There's an example of every coin that was made.
Well, this wonderful collection we have behind us was donated to us in 2000 by Wells Fargo. And it's a wonderful collection. It has 109 out of the 111 coins. We're missing 2 coins, the 1873 dimes without arrows and the 1873 quarter. So we're only 2 short. And as I was mentioning earlier, in 50 years, we started with 1 silver dollar by Judge Guild back in 1950. That was his idea to develop the collection, and indeed, here over 50 years later, we're just 2 short.
So you have gold and silver.
Both the gold and the silver coins here. And so it's a fantastic collection, one of the finest in the world.
Well, Bob, you say that 2 coins were missing, but I don't really see any holes there. Can you point out where it actually is?
Well, it would have been right in here, 1873, the dime. Now, what we have is the second issue that came out. It's the rarest one is the first issue that was the 1873 dimes without arrows. And what happened was after they stopped the production, they went to the second design, and we're fortunate to have the second design. But there's only 1 known of the original 1873 dimes, and that is one of the rare coins in American collecting of coins. And last year at the coin show, we had it. It was actually here, and we were able to show it along with the quarter. The other one would be the 1873 quarter, and there's 4 of those known. So we didn't leave space, but we are going to be redoing our exhibit. We're going to be redoing it and putting it up in the front vault where it was at. And someday, I really believe it, I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but we'll see those 2 coins merge with this collection like it was for last year, where we had all of 111 coins. So if we can go from 1 coin 50 years ago, over 50 years ago, we surely can get another 2 to make it a complete collection.
Let's talk for a minute about this missing dime, because there were, is that 31,191
Yes,
that were...
that was the second production. That was the mintage, yeah.
Now, how many do you think were made of the missing dime?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. They stopped fairly soon in the production, so I'm sure it didn't get as high as the 31,000. What they tended to do is when they would stop production, for example, on a certain mintage, they would actually, if they had them still here, if they hadn't been released, they would melt them down and make them into other coins. One of the best examples of that is the 20-cent piece, which is also a very rare piece. That's the 1876, and there's only 18 of those known circulating in the world. We have one of those right here, and you can see, again, it's a very small mintage, only 10,000 on that one. Now, then again, that's another one where most of the coins were supposed to be melted down, but somehow 18, probably an employee, took them out and they got circulating so that they were out in the public. And we have one of the 18 right there.
All right, Ken, I think you don't have the dime, is that right?
I don't have the dime.
If you were to look for the dime, because there have to be more than one around.
Oh, absolutely, somewhere.
How many do you think are out there? Just give me a guess.
I would think there might be just a few more because it was part of a assay test that was sent back to Philadelphia to assay to check for the silver content of that particular dime, and I have a feeling that that was pulled from the assay before they were all melted down as part of a rejection of that particular year.
So there have to be a few around, and I understand one was around. And how much was that sold for?
That one, actually, Rusty Go of Southgate Coins bought that one. I think he bought it for $890-some thousand, and it was about 6 months after that that he sold it for over $1 million.
So that missing dime is worth
that
over
missing
$1 million.
dime we do know.
$1 million for one dime. That's plenty of motivation for anyone. A trip back to Al Blythe is definitely warranted.
There's another coin I'm carrying here in this paper to kind of safeguard it here that a friend wanted me to ask you about.
Sure, be glad to look at it.
It's an old dime that they had in the family. And I understand that there's a dime that's missing that to make up this collection here at the Nevada State Museum. So, of course,
Right.
they're hoping that this is the missing dime.
Right. Okay, this is a Liberty-seated dime, and it's an 1883, and it's a circulated coin. It's in about uncirculated condition, and the value on it retails like $75.
75. Okay, so that's not.
No.
It's not the missing dime.
No, I can tell you what the missing dime is, though.
Is there a picture in that book of the missing missing
there is.
dime?
Right, it's right here.
Okay, so that's called a seated Liberty?
This is a Liberty seated 1873 Carson City no arrows.
Coin expert Rusty Go, who bought and then sold the legendary missing dime, has some words of caution for us.
Really, the odds of ever finding any of the undiscovered pieces are rarer than the coins themselves. There was only one of those 1873 cc no arrows dimes, and the 1873 cc no arrows quarter, there's only 5 in existence, and there's been over 125 years for any of those to have surfaced. And certainly, like with the record prices that have been paid for those coins in recent years, if there were any in anybody's drawers hidden away in an attic somewhere, you would think that that money, the $1 million that was paid for that rare dime, would have brought out any of those hidden pieces. So we're going to have to say at this particular time that the supply of those is cut off.
But then again, there's the thrill of the hunt. After all, we don't really know what those mint employees of old were doing.
I just have a gut feeling it's got to be out there. Someone has to have that coin. You know, that's a lot of coins. So maybe it'll show up. And if so, whose phone number do you want on the screen?
Well, if anybody would come up with a second 1873 dimes without arrow, we'd love to see it. But, you know, if that's the case, they always call the museum here. We'd love to have a donation like that, or any of the coins. We still do collect the other coins too for other uses. This isn't the only coins we have on the CC Mint. We have other ones that we collect for other types of exhibits too. We have another one up in the front part. So anybody that finds one, please contact us. We'd love to, and especially if they find another 1873 dimes without arrows, that would be a great piece to have.
So if that missing dime appears, is it something that the State Museum could actually purchase from someone? Or, I mean, that's a big amount of money.
That's right. We would rely on the generosity of the state of Nevada, donors, communities, to be able to acquire something that special. As a museum, we don't have an acquisition budget, really, so we do rely on donations, although the coin show here does help us in raising money. So the vendors pay fees to be here. We have things like raffles, and all that stays at the Nevada State Museum.
We are missing that dime from our collection at the Carson City Mint.
Okay.
So we'd love to have one. So also the quarters, 1873 no arrow quarter and no arrow dime. And if anybody has one, we would love to have it donated to the Nevada State Museum.
And what's the quarter worth?
I'm really not positive. I think the quarter is about half to $750,000.
Now, I was wondering whether you and your husband might have that missing coin that we heard about earlier for this collection here.
Let me ask Lucy. You have that coin? No, doggone it. We don't have it.
The 1873 cc no arrows dime. There's only one of those. It's a unique coin. It'll always be unique. And the 1873 cc no arrows quarters, there's 5 of those. And the odds of another one of those ever surfacing about the same as if the Washington Senators ever come back and play in the American League.
But you've got to admit the possibility does exist that those coins are out there somewhere, if we just knew where to look.
Where would I look? Probably underground. I'd be digging.
It's probably on the V&T Railroad right-of-way over there by Lakeview Hill.
You think it might be on the hill there somewhere?
I've been metal detecting for years there.
Well, best wishes. I hope you find it and donate it to the museum.
I would love to do that.
Okay, we'll keep looking.
Keep looking in Grandma's closet.
Where do you think it might be? Where would one find one if they were looking for that coin?
Not my backyard.